Now, I hope that we have Stanley Wayne Mathis on the line because he's calling in also from, I believe, the Big Apple, and he's doing something amazing. We want this audience, our family, to know more about Stanley Wayne Mathis. Stanley, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and now I feel so relieved because I wasn't sure if the connection had been made, and I want the audience to know that he is on the show because of one of my very good friends, Patrick L. Riley. And I want you to know this, Stanley, that many moons ago, Patrick asked me to help a group of guys who went on to become very well known because of an acclaimed theatrical event. 3 Mo tenors. Do you know that no one knew about them? Patrick sent me a note and said, would you be involved in outreaching to these guys? And I didn't do it. I have to admit I didn't do it. And then they became a sensation, 3 Mo tenors, and I'm sure you know them, right?
Yes. Mr. Thomas Young was one of the guys who I studied with vocally for a short time. And Victor Cook is, it's well known on the Broadway scene also. I forget the third guy's name, but it was also produced by Marion Cathy, who is now running the Apollo.
Yes. Now, you know what, Stanley, we know that you're on a tight schedule because you're so popular, and I'm going to try to turn the wheels as quick as I can because I want this to be a part 1 because I want to have you back when we have a little more time to talk to you. But for the audience, for our family, we call our audience family, and you're now our New York cousin calling in as well. But you're a Broadway vet, and you have a career that spans theater, television, and film. Now, Stanley, I want you to brag on yourself, with brag being an acronym for B, bringing our righteous. A would stand for achievements or accomplishments graciously. So I want you to brag on yourself just for a moment or two and let this audience know why Stanley Wayne Mathis is so remarkable.
I'm remarkable because of the people who helped build me and prepare me for the career that I had. And I've been blessed. I came to New York in '83. It took me a good 8 years before I got my Broadway show, so it didn't come instantly. So the one thing I do have is tenacity, and I stick to a task. I may seem slow to move, but I'm sure, and I'll get the job done eventually, one way or the other. So yeah, I came to New York and I continued to do my studying, dancing with Clark Center dance studios at that time. I danced with Charles Moore's African Dancers and Drummers. I tried to keep up my little voice lessons. I tried to keep up my acting lessons, all of which is kind of difficult to do in New York because, New York just paying the rent it's tough.
Yeah, and you know what? I know that you have been one of the fortunate few to have made a real mark on Broadway, and we know Broadway is the height of theater, and you were in such acclaimed productions as, just give us a few of the acclaimed productions that people who know Broadway shows will know the caliber of work that's part of your impressive resume.
Well, I'll tell you, my favorites were Jelly's Last Jam, which was written and directed by George C. Wolfe.
Yes.
That was amazing. So there's the story of Jelly Roll Morton, the musical based on the story of Jelly Roll Morton.
Gregory Hines is in that as well. Yeah.
Starring Gregory Hines. So I actually, I got to share the stage. I played his best friend in the show, so I got to, be next to him every night and learn so much from him. He was a very giving performer, a very gracious performer. So that was an experience for me because I got to use all of my disciplines, the acting, the singing, the dancing. And I'm in a show that was written and directed by a black man.
Yes.
On Broadway, on the Great White Way. That's no small thing. So I felt very, very blessed. It was an all-black cast except for 2 cast members. It was an all-black cast, and a phenomenal cast. Tanya Pinkins also played opposite Gregory Hines. And then later Felicia Rashad stepped in. So that was one of my favorites for sure, that experience. It kind of spoiled me because that was like my second Broadway show.
Oh, my God, yeah, to have that credential. What about television? Name drop now. I mean, remember, we're family. So name us some of the TV work that you've done that we're going to say, oh, my God, I'm glad that we know.
Well, you know, I mean, I've done the Criminal Intent, Law and Orders, The Gossip Girls, you know, those shows. I did small parts, but then I got to do an actual large principal role, recurring role, in a series that was called Rise on ABC. It only had one season, but yeah, so that was the first time I actually, you know, got to really play a recurring role as the principal of a school that took place in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
On the book. So that was a great experience because, you know, usually when you're doing your under fives or your smaller roles and stuff where you have one scene or one or two scenes, this is when I was used to having, you know, 3, 4, 5 scenes an episode or something like that. It was kind of extraordinary.
Wow.
And I got to work with Rosie Perez, so that was a really good.
Oh, we love Rosie Perez. Yeah, that's another very talented actress from.
Really talented, very kind, very giving.
Yeah.
You know, she had that look in her eyes like, I got you, we got this. Don't worry about it. You know.
Did you know, by the way, and I just talked to him, having not actually talked to him in maybe 20 years. I talked to him maybe about 4 weeks ago. Adrian Bailey from Detroit. Do you know him?
Yeah. We actually talked on the phone last week. You know, he and I are like, you know, Facebook cronies. We're always on Facebook. And I said something to him, and he was like, I got to call him up, and we need to talk about this. So,
did you know that he was from Detroit?
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know him because he didn't make his mark so much in Detroit. He left at a young age and moved to New York City and became part of that Broadway group of guys that constantly worked from one hit Broadway show to the next. He was in Smokey Joe's Cafe, and certainly that put him on the map, and he's done several other shows, as you have too.
I finally called him the mayor of Broadway because he has way more under his belt than I have. But he was in Jelly's Last Jam with me. That's the first time I ever met and worked with Adrian. So that was our connection.
Well, fantastic. Now, we're having you on the show because we want to know how can our family, this audience, support this new venture that you're doing, which is a multimedia core poem called Preaching to the Choir, an Inconvenient Truth. So please let Detroiters who are listening, and I want you to take your pens out if you're listening to what he's going to say right now and jot down some notes, because we want Detroit to come heavy and strong. Because remember, audience, I said that Patrick L. Riley, he was the first person to talk about 3-mode tenors. And so when you hear more about this eventually Tony Award-winning production of Preaching to the Choir, an Inconvenient Truth, you can say you heard it first on this radio show. So, Stanley, please let the audience know about this particular production that you're involved in. How can we be supportive? And tell us the when, what, and why.
Okay. It will be screening September the 13th at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if you go on eventbrite.com and type in Preaching to the Choir, an Inconvenient Truth, it should lead you to the reservation sites where you can make reservations for it. It is free of charge. You just have to make reservations. If you need
they do this once again. They do it through Zoom. Okay, audience, family, you go to Zoom, and the date again is going to be what? It's going to be...
It'll be September the 13th at 6:30 p.m.
Is it a Friday the 13th, or is it another day?
No, that's on a Monday. We do it on the Monday.
Lucky Monday the 13th. It's going to be on Lucky Monday the 13th. They go to Zoom, and they can see this choir poem, is it like a reading, or is it going to be the full production, or what is going to be the dynamics of what they should expect to see?
It is a reading. It's not the full production, although it will look pretty full. It's a multimedia piece, and so I couldn't imagine just sitting down and reading from the script, a bunch of actors in a box reading from the script. And so it has visuals and music and all kinds of things like that.
Wow.
To carry you through the piece. So it almost plays like a mini film in a sense. If you go on my Facebook page at PTTC, you'll see the information there. Instagram and Twitter is at PTTC8420, and you can get the information there also.
Oh, okay. Now it's Eventbrite, not Zoom. I think I said Zoom. They can see it via Zoom, but to make the reservation, they have to go to Eventbrite, right?
Go through Eventbrite, yes.
But the mechanism of watching it will be Zoom, right?
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. Now let us know, Preaching to the Choir and Inconvenient Truth. What makes it an inconvenient truth, and what choir are you preaching to?
Well, when I say, I'm speaking specifically to Black folks as a community. I'm speaking to the diaspora. I'm speaking to us all, and I'm having this conversation with us. And I say preaching to the choir because we all know, if not all of this, we all know some of this or have been through this. So we're preaching to the choir. We're giving each other permission to talk about it, to speak on it, to say Black Lives Matter and not be deterred by people coming to you saying, well, Blue Lives Matter, all lives matter. Giving us permission to speak on the situation that's happening with Black people in this country. An inconvenient truth is because this is not Hello Dolly. This ain't Five Guys Named Mo. This ain't Sophisticated Ladies. This is one of those pieces that you go see that you get to hear, feel, and experience the truth of what's going on in this country. Just because theater is entertainment doesn't mean it can't be educational, can't mean it can't be inspirational. So hopefully it will inspire activism in people who come to see it.
Oh, we need that so much because you know what, Stanley, it is not lie to power, it is truth to power, and be it inconvenient or convenient, there is power in speaking one's truth. And I can only assume that these words are inspired and that God is speaking through you, has spoken through you to inspire us in Detroit and other places on this globe who will be blessed to be at least part of the first stage of the outreach. Now, do you plan to take it to Broadway? Is that the plan? Or it's going to be a movie, or where is it going to go?
I don't know. That's Kimberly's lane, really. I wrote it out of a need to process. I mean, being on social media, especially Facebook, seeing people get shot, killed, tased, beaten, dragged, man, woman, children, elders, it didn't matter. I just didn't know how to process it. And so I started I'd write a poem about the event. I'd write a poem. The next thing I know, I had over 200 poems. And so I took from that 200 poems and put together this particular show. So for me, it was cathartic, and it was something I needed. It was healing, and I hope that it will do the same to our community so that we can, individually as a community, as a whole, say their names. This is what we're the only people who don't get to pay homage to our dead. The Holocaust, we do that every year. 9/11, they called out every name every year. Pearl Harbor, you name it. Talk about Black people. Oh, don't talk about slavery. That was so long ago. Let's not talk about that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, Sankofa, go back and retrieve what is yours. And I'm also saying, no one's coming to save us, Black people. We're going to have to save ourselves. I
say to that, and in African ideology, when you dignify an ancestry, when you remember the spirit that comes from respecting that which has passed from this earthly place into the spiritual world. There is a special blessing to be bestowed. So, you know, when I'm hearing about it, I'm thinking about the Colored Girls, when the rainbow was enough, I believe was the former name of it. But I'm thinking about that this is going to be spectacular, Stanley, that you are going to bless us. You're blessing this show because we love to say
I hope so.
They heard it. Well, I mean, I'm feeling it, though, without even knowing about the details, not having seen it, and I'll be zooming in and going through Eventbrite on, give me the date again, September the 13th, Monday, lucky Monday, September the 13th. It will start
6:30 p.m.
6:30 EST, which we're on the same time zone, because I love being part of history in the making. And Stanley, when Patrick Riley said that this guy is a real deal, and you've got to let your audience know that something historical and something uplifting and something that is from his heart and soul is going to be happening, I said, we got to talk to the guy. So, Stanley, thank you so much for calling in and letting us know that you are sharing your truth, which it doesn't get any better than that. Stanley, is this your very first piece, or have you done anything else that we need to know about in terms of something that you've done as a writer?
Publicly here in New York. I mean, I realized when somebody else had asked me that, I was like, you know, you actually tell me you've been writing since you were a kid, but this was the first time I stepped out publicly and I wrote this, which is the reason why I didn't, you know, when people say, so what are you going to do with this? Where are you taking it? I was like, I really don't know. The ancestors gave me this. They would not let me go until I wrote this down. So it sort of has a life of its own, and people are falling into place like yourself. Thank you for having me on the show. But Kimberly just called me up and said, look, you need to, what are you doing? And I said, I put it away, girl. Ain't nobody want to hear about this during no pandemic. She's like, oh, no. This is the time. You need to put this on YouTube, and you need to do that. And so it just sort of had a life of its own that's sort of been gaining its own traction. So
wow. Well, you know what? I'm feeling it. I can hear it in your voice. I know that you're a man that has been blessed with talent, and the fact that we're introducing you to Detroit, it's very, very special because we need more, especially black men, telling untold stories as only a black man can tell, that is speaking from his heart and soul. All this is going to be exceptional. Can't wait to see what you're going to be introducing to the world on September 13th, Monday at 6:30 EST. And as I said before, it's going to be lucky September 13th because something in the arts world is going to be making history, and that is Preaching to the Choir and Inconvenient Truth, written by, can I call you the one and only, Stanley Wayne Mathis.
I believe there's only one of us.
Well, Stanley, thanks so much for calling, and will you promise that when the producer calls you, and this is going to be right before you're going to get to Tony, because I'm feeling it's going to go to Broadway, that you're going to say, of course I'm going to speak to Kim and Greg because we're family.
All right, brother. Well, look, listen, from your ears to God's lips. So I look forward to talking to you again. Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, be safe, and until we meet again. And you know what? There's a saying that we have to stop meeting like this, but because we're meeting on radio and we want you back, I'm going to end it with, Stanley, we have to always meet this way on radio, and I'll look forward to meeting you in person as well. Thanks so much for calling in.
Right. Likewise. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
All right. Thank you so much. Now we're going to talk to another one of my favorite people, a man that I'm so impressed with this man. He doesn't know how much he inspires me, and I want him to inspire the audience, Mr. Ray Smith. Ray, can you hear me?
Hey, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing now much better because everyone has been so great. We talked to David Winans earlier. He is the eldest sibling of the Winans family. And on Sunday, they're going to have a Hug Detroit Day inspired by Sky Covington And then we had a chance to talk to the young man that we just talked to, Stanley Wayne Mathis, who was doing a Broadway-inspired sort of show, pre-Broadway, I'm calling it. And now we're talking to one of our very own, Detroit's very own, Ray Smith of the Black Bottom Group. Now, Ray, you have such a remarkable background. This is going to be a part one for you because I'm going to have to talk to you an entire segment, so you've got the promise to call back. But I want the audience to know that he is the founder of the Black Bottom Group, and you have made a point to salute that historical East Side, I'm calling it a landmark, which is known as Black Bottom, and you also have done so much for the community in terms of raising awareness for the need to feed the homeless and to be philanthropic in terms of what you've done in Detroit, giving back, making sure that those who need help receive it. And you're an impresario. I was honored to have been the host of a spectacular blues, jazz, and burlesque show at downtown Birmingham, Michigan's beautiful Imagine Theater that you turned into a real spectacular, unforgettable nightclub experience. And then you did it again with Lance Mason when you did the blues and R&B show, and I hosted that as well with a wonderful woman that is now somebody that I absolutely love, and that's Elvana, and she's a belly dancer. Audience, this man is spectacular. Now, I want to say kudos because the Black Bottom Group was instrumental in making sure that a part of Lafayette Park would have a historic marker saluting the legendary Black Bottom. Let the audience know how that felt and how did that come to be, Ray, when you made a point to be involved in the historical marker, which just happened on Monday. Let the audience know what that meant to you.
Well, it meant a milestone in my both for my family, the Smith family legacy. That's what it means to us in terms of giving back to that community that was destroyed by urban renewal, or what they call the slum clearance. Some people call it Negro removal. I prefer not to use that term, but that's what it exactly was. But yeah, we actually started the application process back in 2017. We filed the proposal to the state of Michigan Historical Commission and the History Spitzer, and their application required a whole lot of research. Was documentation, proof of the existence of Black Bottom, why was it called Black Bottom, what took place in Black Bottom. It was pretty much a year of research that I've done. So we put that information together, submitted that. They had to prove the documentation. They had to review the documentation. They had to make sure that the documentation were the secondary resources, the first primary resources. So we had a mixture of both.
Now, Ray, where did the Black Bottom area get their name from? Because I know Black Bottom was a popular dance that would have been back in the 20s, and then it became a song, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, we know. But why did this section of Detroit distinctively take on the name Black Bottom?
Well, some of the most famous people come out of Black Bottom, was Coleman Young, Whitney Coleman Young, Joe Lewis, and a host of other well-known.
And that would be the area of what? Let them know the area in Detroit. I know I'm saying Lafayette Park, but what would be the streets that would be known to the public?
Elmwood, St. Albans, over to Gratiot, Shane. It covered that whole area. From Elmwood Cemetery all the way back up to Brush and the Leonard area. But the name Black Bottom originates from the soil. Based on that, the Grand Trunk Railroad and the Savoy River had this black soil that was considered to be rich.
And it was an area that had nightclubs eventually, right? But then it became an area where blacks lived on the east side, and it had a strong business district. Am I not?
Well,
saying that?
sometimes, you had a mixed culture there. You had different ethnicities in that area. You had Syrians, you had Jews, you had Greeks in that area. You had a lot of Eastern European, you call it.
So it wasn't just black people. It was a diverse area of Detroit, but blacks had certainly a prominence in that area. But it was an area that shined and people got along, and it was an area, like you said, that was just wiped off the map until you made a point to be part of a group that said that the history was too brilliant for future generations not to know that this part of Detroit is sacred, and the spirits of people like a Coleman Young and other people who were so outstanding came out of this area of Detroit. So I just say bravo, Ray Smith. Now, Ray.
You got to realize too, you had two sections of black prominence in that area. You had what they called Paradise Valley. That was where you had all the nightclubs and social clubs, a lot of restaurants. And
now, was that a separate area, or was that under the umbrella of Black Bottom? I know about Paradise Valley. Was that a separate area? Was that a subdivision of Black Bottom, or a separate section with its own distinctive
Black
character?
Bottom was more residential.
Mm-hmm.
Black Bottom was like Paradise Valley was more so like a Harlem, and Black Bottom was more so of the residential area, but we still had local business in that area as well. But that's the distinguish the two. You had the nighttime, the nightlife area, which is Paradise Valley. We had a lot of the really made Paradise Valley. We had a lot of wealthy people coming out of Paradise Valley.
Now, where exactly is the historical marker for those who would like to go downtown and just make a point to honor the marker by reading it, especially taking young people? Where would they go to see the marker? It's exactly placed where?
You got the Black Bottom marker, the one we secured here. It's at Lafayette Central Park, which is next to the 1300 Lafayette Center here.
Okay, so it's on Lafayette Street?
Yeah, Lafayette Street. 1300 Lafayette, yes. It's called...
Okay.
It's actually a city park, a city rec park.
Okay, so it's right there where the park is. Well, I want the audience to make a sojourn to that area, because once again, when you honor what Ray Smith has done and the Black Bottom group, then you are really honoring the ancestors that are smiling from heaven above. Now, Ray, we have to say not goodbye, but see you later, because you got to come back, and please promise that you're going to tell the audience about your blues, jazz, R&B, and burlesque, which I'm telling you, nobody combines these elements better than Ray Smith of the Black Bottom group.
Absolutely. And then we're going to talk about our play that we write now on the Dred Scott case, the 1857 historical case about Dred Scott that led to the Civil War, that led to the abolition of slavery. So we work on a playwright for that period there. So that's
we got a lot to talk about. You are a Renaissance man. Now, Ray, we only have about a minute, and I want you to say something in about 20 seconds that is from your heart to this audience, because, Ray, you really are the remarkable Ray Smith.
What I would like to say, I really like to give a thanks out to Penske Trucks. Penske Trucks gave us the Pennsylvania headquarters. They gave us a brand new 26-foot refrigerator truck, and that allowed us to deliver over 200,000 food boxes to cities like Flint. Detroit.
And that was who again? Can you say who it is now? Who is that?
E-Court. Penske Trucks. They gave us.
Penske Trucks gave it. Okay.
Wonderful. They never donated. They never donated an organization a truck for 1 year. We were the first to meet that milestone with those guys. They allowed us to deliver over 200,000 food boxes throughout really Southeast Michigan. I mean, you Ben Harbor, E-Course, Clinton Township, Pontiac, Flint. I mean, we really. That's another thing that I'm really proud of, that we were able to provide those. And
you're doing so much for the community, Ray. We're going to have you back, because you are the remarkable Ray Smith of the Black Bottom Group. Thank you so much for joining us. And audience, family, we love you. Until next Thursday, you're listening to Can We Talk with Tim and Greg. And remember that when people throw stones at you, don't pick the stones back and throw them back at them. Just pick them up and build a castle, if not an empire. Thanks so much for listening. Until next Thursday, and remember, the best is yet to come.